That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
What do you know?
That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today, so I can get to know you.
So I'm a musician. What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician.
I-
I make music. I make music. And that's not all I do. I make music, I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the fuck you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said.
No,
I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby. I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
So you
think.
I didn't say magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think you are a musician.
No, baby. I do music.
So you just really quick. For the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
But then after that, you just said I do music.
Yeah, I do music.
So, in other words, you're a musician.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Don't you know that is so concerned about you?
I've seen that before. Yeah. That's what's her name? Ooh, man. I don't know. Suki Hana, I think her name is Suki Hana. Suki Hana. Yes. She's a female artist. She's a musician. Well.
Which one? The one saying she's not a musician?
Yes, the one saying she's not a musician. Yeah. She's a musician.
But that's like a lost in translation moment, because she's saying to the interviewer, don't try to pin me down, right? As one thing. And for some reason, she heard the word, I guess it was magician.
Magician. Yeah.
And I don't know why she thought that the other girl would try to typecast her as a magician. I don't know if that has something to do. Does she have a lot of smoke and mirrors in her performances? I don't know anything about her background.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to her music.
So, I don't know if she was trying to react to the idea, like, I know I'm not just what are you basically equating me to like a circus clown?
I think that's I think that's the way she took that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't say for sure, but I mean, I think in a I don't know if that was a hot take or what, but in a scenario like that, right? Maybe there are underlying things that are at play with that conversation, right? So think about it, right? She's a black woman talking to a white woman, a young white woman talking to a young black woman. Maybe the young black woman thinks the young white woman is trying to, make fun of her or make her look stupid or make her look uneducated.
She's in a state of super defensiveness probably about what she's going to say to her, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't like to analyze these kind of things, but I can say that it certainly gives, seems like it was getting a little more, she was getting a little more defensive about her calling.
Yeah. But it seemed like that's a great example of mimetic escalation happening, because it's what starts off as a banal gesture of trying to understand who the other person is becomes is received as a slight somehow.
But why is that though?
Then she doubles down on that, right? She doesn't want to hear it, and then she tries to say, but I think, and she says, look, honey, I don't think,
Yeah.
which is so ironic, right? Because the audience is thinking like, you don't know
That's
what
the
the word
problem.
musician means. You don't think. But then there's another side to it that I saw, which was like, dude, she's quoting Carl Jung right now.
Mm-hmm.
When Carl Jung says, he's a mystic and he's
Mm-hmm.
saying, he may be wrong on some things, but he's no dummy. He's pretty smart. And Carl Jung says that famous line, I don't believe in God. I know him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this girl says. She says, honey, I don't think. That's ghetto. I know. So I don't
Yeah.
know if she was going for that existential kind of thing that Carl Jung's doing there.
Yeah.
But it's certain. What I'm trying to say is sometimes something looks foolish on one level, but there's actually a truth to it, that this idea of knowing versus thinking.
Yeah,
Right?
like epistemologically or something. I mean, okay.
Knowing as in like you don't have to rationally know something. It's in your being. You feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what
Yeah.
Carl Jung's talking about. Is like I don't believe in God in some kind of mental assent. I
Yeah.
know him. I experientially know him through, like,
Uh-huh.
through relationship, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
I-
what she was trying to do there in that moment by saying, I don't think I know. Or if maybe she was just trying to say, look, I'm beyond thinking. I'm just so confident. I just know what I know. I don't know.
or it could have just simply been that she thought she was trying to say something, undercut, and she mistook it for something else, and she was, just standing her ground, saying that I know what I am. I'm not a magician. I'm a I'm an artist. Okay. I mean, hey man, I don't think we have to really. I don't think we have to try. Well, here's what I think you just did. I think you just tried to make the case for what she was. You were trying to doing a do a maybe some kind of apologetic or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? To try to get people to understand what she was really saying. I think this is what I told Shane. I shared this with Shane. I said, maybe this is a publicity thing. Maybe she knows that already, and I'm sure, and so I'm still going along with you. Like, I'm gonna try to make an apologetic here now, right? Um, Maybe it could be that she was told to act that way, right? Maybe she was prompted to say those things because it's profitable to look like a ignorant, you know, woman who doesn't know the difference between magician and musician, and doesn't know that musician is actually a word that exists for what she might consider herself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if she plays music. I don't know if she can read music. I don't know if she makes beats or what have you. But even, it's kind of like, okay, one could ask themselves, one could beg the question, are you really even a musician?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think maybe, if you wanted to be, again, I don't know anything about the thing. And I'm not, when I'm saying my analysis, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a postmodern type move where I'm just kind of
Mm-hmm.
reinterpreting it the way I want it,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the intention of the author, but I'm just subjectively reinterpreting it based on my lived experience, as they would say in the left.
Mm-hmm.
But, so I know about Carl Jung saying, I don't think I know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I connect that, and I'm like, well, maybe she's stumbling around in the dark on something good. She needs to double down on what that means more. Even in her ignorance, she hits the truth on accident. It's like feeling around in the dark, and you feel something, and you don't know what it is, and you kind of randomly
Yeah.
grab onto the truth. But I think maybe on the like artist level, it's become fashion when people like Kanye West do not like being called a rapper. Remember, he said, "I am not a rapper. I am a businessman. I'm an inventor, like Nikola Tesla," which I haven't seen those inventions yet, but I'm sure he's working on them. But I'm an inventor. I'm a fashion mogul. All this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't want to be called just a rapper, right? And one of the reasons why a lot of them don't like that title is because they get such a sorry deal with their record deal signs. They sign these long contracts when they've got no money. Someone hands them a book that's the size of an encyclopedia, and that's their contract, you know. And at that point, they sometimes sign it without counsel, or the counsel they have is basically giving them bad advice that this is the best you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Because he wants to get his cut of the deal too. So they get real irritated that they basically sign the right to their masters and all this stuff for life. And then yeah, they make money, but they're basically under the dominion of these record companies and these touring. They got to constantly tour like a circus act, never being home, and they have to sing the same song over and over and over again. And all that stuff gets real old real fast. The lifestyle, the clingers, the fake friends, the twisting of the moral contortions of your family that manipulate you, even people's parents and stuff, selling them out for another movie or another song, you know, like you hear about with children celebrities. All of that, I think, goes into this concept that a lot of these guys and gals are trying to say, I don't want to be typecasted as an artist because it's not really a source of power. They want to focus on the things they might have a little bit more ownership of, like their fashion line or something, you know?
Yeah, well, I also think that, you don't want to be sort of maybe typecast,
Yeah.
right? So you don't want to be like labeled as this particular person that just is an entertainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just a court jester.
Yeah. I'm a
You see
business
what I'm
person.
saying?
I'm an
Yeah,
inventor.
yeah. You want to be, you want to be somebody that
Yeah.
sounds like their job description has
Yeah.
substance,
Yeah.
right?
So
Has some.
a lot of young people who have little and middle class and poor situations, they look at a Kanye or that lady and their money and they say, man, they've made it. But when you get to that level, you look at all the business executives and the billionaires, or if you're really grandiose, you look at the big icons of industry like Edison and Tesla and Ford and all that, and you say, well, now I want to be that. That's what it means to make it. And if I'm conceived of as just a rapper, that feels like a court jester compared to Thomas Edison. Like, wow,
Yeah,
icon, living, you know,
yeah,
hero that changes the world. Those are titans. So you're at the
yeah,
God level. You want to get to the titan level. You know what I mean?
yeah. And then there's the whole problem. There's probably the racial component, incorporated into this, right? I mean, you want to be seen as somebody who made it. You know what I mean? That people tried to keep you down, but you found a way to get out of that trap, or that, overcome certain stumbling blocks, whether it was put in front of you by someone else or you faced it, you acted on your impulses and vices, or not. But, everyone would like to believe that they've, overcome certain things and have built up a certain life, that can be taken seriously, right? And I think being sort of considered an artist, especially if you're someone who has a family, you want to be seen as a little more uh, astute and noble, and having character, and telling people you're not gonna go for this, and I'm not signing that contract. Like, I know what I'm doing, and I got other business ventures, like you said, the fashion industry, and whatever. And I you know I don't the question is like, does that actually, are those things creative, right? Like, is fashion really creative? Is music really creative? Is art really creative, right? These are all sort of aesthetic, maybe philosophical, I don't maybe they're not philosophical questions, but anyways, it's just, I think people want to be taken seriously, and perhaps a lot of a lot of a lot of people feel like hip hop and that art form is still sort of stuck in a very adolescent or pubescent age, you know what I mean? Like a teenager. You're still a teenager, you know what I mean? You still have vibrancy. You're sort of rebellious. You know, you don't, you know, you kind of toe the line. You don't follow the rules. And I think that that's something that has its benefits and shortcomings. You know, because that's what when you when you talk about being rebellious or towing the line, you know, sometimes you can get somebody like, for instance, you know, Sukihana, okay, like a rapper like that, you know what I mean, who doesn't know the difference between a musician and a magician, okay. And again, I'm not saying that she's, you know, I mean, I do wholeheartedly believe that that was probably something that was, what do you call it, hoisted onto her. You know what I mean? That she probably knows the difference, but it was good publicity. You know what I mean? If I act kind of retard, okay, sorry, not the right word. If I act a little ignorant, like I don't know what you mean and stuff like that, then I can keep
Yeah.
that sort of, you know, momentum going. That
I'm going to make a prediction. I think by 2030, the
mm-hmm,
rap and hip hop industry will be largely a relic of the past. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Now,
Like
when did you
kind of
let's see
like
the
rock
date?
and roll, like there'll still be like perhaps like you know, like nostalgic acts. You know how the
Yeah,
Rolling Stones are still playing, but it's not
yeah,
like it's not setting the sound of the time. Yeah, like
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think you know the age of rock. We thought rock would last forever and
yeah,
setting the sound of the time,
yeah,
but it's not. And in
yeah,
the same vein, I think that you know rap and hip hop, especially with all these icons turning out to be like creations of feds and stuff and all this
mm-hmm,
stuff, it really
mm-hmm.
ruins the luster. It's like kind of like waking
Yeah,
up as a kid that the Ninja Turtles in the movie were animatronics and not real
yeah,
giant turtles.
yeah.
Like once
Mm-hmm,
you realize that your rapper outlaws are actually just like manufactured Muppets that
mm-hmm,
are oftentimes completely manufactured, like Drake and
mm-hmm,
Diddy and
mm-hmm.
uh, the other guy. Now we're finding out. I mean, good lord, that I mean the difference in what's the guy's name? The guy that Tupac. You know, the reality
Mm-hmm.
of what he you know like talked and sounded like, and then what he was turned into as like a character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was all just a you know a stage, as a character he was playing.
Yeah,
And then to
yeah. I
find
mean, it's
that out kind of ruins it, right? It's not all raw and real now. It's kind of manufactured, and they're snitching on each other for the feds and
yeah,
honeypots, and it just kind of ruins it, you know.
yeah,
The
yeah. I mean,
allure of the romantic, you know, it's kind of gone there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose you could say that with any, you know, genre. You know that it sort of had its era or something like that. You know, jazz was the same way, right? Like the jazz artists and stuff like that. You know, really, really, really. I mean, just great musicians. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that like to be hyperbolistic and stuff like that. I mean, you know, I listen to jazz music. I was just listening today to this guy named I think his name is Johnny Little, and he's a xylophonist. You know, plays
Mhm.
marimba
Mhm.
xylophone and stuff. You know, great music, right? Uh, Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane. You know, um, you know, even the Duke Ellington and Cab Calloway eras. You know, big band and stuff. Great musicians. They knew music. They knew how to read and write music. They could understand, you know, how to you know 3/4 and all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just really could understand that language, right? And but you know that era came to an end, right? People, but why? Because I think really a lot of these artists, you know, they fell prey to a lot of what happens when you know I suppose a lot of artists become very popular, very big, you know, and stuff, and they get into a lot of things that they you know can't really control anymore in their or feel like they can't control in their lives anymore. You know, addictions, you know, that become traps for them and stuff like that. And I think they just sort of, you know, fade out. Um, sadly. And I think this is the same thing that we're seeing in the hip hop industry. It doesn't have any more luster because there's so much scandal behind it. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not
But it's
saying
not it's not a romantic, because scandal drives the whole thing. It was all about
yeah,
scandal.
but I'm
But it's
saying
not
like
the
that.
fun
That was
kind of scandal. It's like, wait,
yeah,
you're in
that's
league
correct.
with the
Yeah, it's
principles.
not.
That's what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean. You're
yeah,
in league with the man. See, the whole
yeah.
point of hip hop's allure was that it was a rebellion
Mm-hmm,
against the man. But
mm-hmm,
once you find out that they're just pawns for the man in various ways,
mm-hmm,
it ruins the entire point, right? And
mm-hmm,
it's like, wait a sec, you're not Robin Hood. You're just a cheap wannabe ripoff that's designed to actually help predate us more. No, I
mm-hmm,
don't want that. Even if
mm-hmm,
it's just partially true, it
mm-hmm.
ruins the effect, because the whole, in my opinion, that what I mean, and maybe you have a different angle on it, but the whole appeal of the gangster, or the outlaw, or the one who makes his money and escapes dire poverty, right,
Mm-hmm.
is a Christ haunted enterprise. Of course, it
Mm-hmm.
is. It
Mm-hmm.
Christ is the ultimate outlaw,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the idea of being able to go from the bottom of the rung
Mm-hmm.
societally, with so odds stacked against you,
Mm-hmm.
making millions of dollars, is this kind of hyperfluidity up the hierarchy that's only
Yeah.
possible in a Christian infected world, that allows for the fluidity of the hierarchy, that doesn't make your fate sealed where you were born into, but
Yeah.
allows you to go from the manger to the king of the world, right?
Yeah. But
That's Jesus' story, and that is what draws the magnetic allure of the outlaw culture that hip hop and rap, kind of pulled from. Of course, it's not purely that, because
yeah.
Satan is an outlaw too, right? And that "you not the
Yeah.
boss of me" attitude is also mixed in.
Yeah.
But I would just say that probably Jesus is bigger impact than Satan, because he's the king and Satan's defeated. So
Well, I mean, yeah, that I think that comes that sort of the question of like, okay, yeah, where it's like you have to you know you have to sort of do the black market thing in order to get out of the black market. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that is the that's sort of the hip hop culture. It's like, well, I had to do,
right.
I had to buy it. You know what I'm saying? I
But
couldn't.
there's a Christ haunted nature to that doesn't. What I'm saying is that there's the aesthetic of the cross in the
Mhm,
prophetic tradition that it comes from,
mhm,
of holding a mirror up to the corrupt ways of society that the Hebrew prophets did before Jesus, and Jesus did as well.
mhm,
And so when you say, well, I'm selling drugs,
mhm,
it's with the notion that the establishment, the CIA, is shoving
mhm,
drugs, with the
mhm,
notion that the presidents are moving drugs. The
mhm,
Iran Contra was moving drugs with Reagan while he's telling you don't do drugs.
mhm, mhm,
You've got that same dynamic going on when you want to look at the big pharma thing. You
mhm,
you you go to a hospital and you see your grandma loaded up with horrific, debilitating drugs, and you
mhm,
say that's a kind of scam, drug dealing kind of pushing. You may not
mhm,
intellectually say it, you
mhm.
viscerally feel it. And then when you
Right.
go out and sell some drug recreationally, and you
Mhm,
become rich, and you don't have to be feeling completely helpless under that
mhm,
system,
mhm,
that is the kind of unveiling of the absurd by being the absurd, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
so these outlaw cultures, well, I will be rich because I wanted to try to travel company, but that cost $20,000 in startup capital. I don't have that. I
yeah.
wanted to start a hair salon, but that requires occupational licensure and all kinds
Yeah.
of other things, and
Mhm,
the rent's too high to get a
mhm,
building, and I could sell this instead. you
yeah.
know I wanted to go
Yeah.
to church and have a
Mhm,
family, but it was a corrupted church where the pastor was doing all kinds of egomaniacal thing, so I found
yeah.
a real family on the streets,
Yeah.
right? You see
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted
Yeah.
to have a legit business, but I sold blue crab out of a
Yeah.
cooler on the side of the highway because that
Yeah.
was a better way to feed my family, right? It's
Yeah.
that Robin Hood vibe. That's Christian. That's a Christian inspired thing, even if it's mutated into sin and debauchery and addiction and depravity and ego.
Well,
It gets its zest, it gets its cultural appeal from Christ, right? The magnetism.
I mean, I think the underlying foundation right there, of course, is wanting to be, have,
the hero,
have, well, to be a hero, but also to be, to have money, to have security.
Yeah.
But I think the
But Abraham wanted to be rich too. He wasn't a gangster, but he probably acted like one compared to our standards today, right? Did Abraham act like a gangster? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, well, I mean, so what I'm saying is, I think that it could also be that the real desire is, you see people who are actually wealthy. You see people who are actually at a certain stage in life where you want to be, and you feel like the only means that you have to get there is to do that. You know what I mean? To live
a cheating system.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, in my opinion. It's about thumbing, it's about saying this is a cheating system and I'm going to cheat it.
Well, yeah, you want to cheat it, and but you also have mimetic desires. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a this is what you talk about hierarchy and everything, right? Like in the era before the revolution, before the overthrowing of European monarchs, right? I'm trying to put it in the West, so but you could say this about any culture. Yeah. The people who were lower than the people who were on top, wanted to be like the people who were noble, who had money, who were aristocrats. You see what I'm saying? So they want to mimic that same lifestyle, and they want to mimic that same, culture. And it's the same thing, I think, with, you might say the hip hop culture is just a mirroring or a mimicking of the the broader culture of its day that, was around. So like, there was this hip hop song. I can't remember what it was, but see, hip hop wasn't popular on television. You see what I'm saying? Back in the like 70s and early 80s, so they were talking about how it took this one female singer to sing along with a rapper to bring rap in the door to the popular world. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, it's like you had to fit in good with the majority. You know what I mean? And that's I think that was always sort of the thing with hip hop. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to let us in. We're going to do it ourselves. If you're not going to let us sit with the cool kids, we're going to make a cool style and genre and whatever ourselves, where we're at, and make do with what we have and try to, climb up the ranks and make this popular. But that's not the same. I don't think, first of all, I think that, we're living in a different age. It's so much easier to sort of put out your own, art and put, and then also to like probably get a record deal with anyone, because all you have to do is just mumble and make weird sounds and you can be a rapper too. You see what I'm saying? The maybe the authenticity that used to be there is no longer there, because there's no real drive behind hip hop. You see what I'm saying?
Because all
These
of
kids
America,
are not really...
all of America is at a stage collectively. Most of America is at a stage where it's very tired and low confidence and low energy. Everybody's tired, low confidence, low energy, they need energy drinks. That's why energy drinks are so popular, and they can't even go to sleep.
Right. But I think also it's also just the fact that, the art is just, it doesn't tell, they're not really telling stories anymore. They're not really like, they used to talk about how rappers were like the modern day griots of West, like in West Africa, or, they were like the modern day, they used to do
Hey, don't
this
call
thing.
that, what's her name? Sukiyaki. Don't call her a griot.
Sukihana. Yeah, yeah.
You called her,
No
man.
problem.
That would be a viral video if you said, "Now you're kind of like a modern day griot." Can you imagine what she would say?
Yeah, no, I
Sukihana,
won't. I won't call her. I won't
call
call
her
you a
a
griot,
griot.
Sukihana.
Ooh,
If you're listening to this, you're an artist. Okay, I'm not. We're not going to argue with Sukihana. Okay,
the
I'm too
griot.
tired. I'm too tired, brother. I'm too tired to go to that
We
battle.
can't
You
be
know what I'm saying?
tired.
But
We got all these topics we got to cover still.
no, I mean, you
I
know,
know what you mean. I'm teasing
she
you.
seems. Yeah. I'm not. I'm
He's
not
not
going
gonna
to fight
jump through
you.
the screen at you. Hopefully,
Yeah, yeah. But I think that the artistry is just not there either. I mean, okay, these rappers and stuff like that, they back in those days, I mean, you really had to make music. You had
yeah,
to
yeah.
like get your whole
Or
setup
you
and
had to
everything.
really sample. You had to really sample some good music.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and then
and
do
I mean,
something
we live
creative
in
with it, right?
yeah, I mean, they were listening to like jazz beats and jazz music and using like cutting that and putting it in their raps. There's a song I forget, but there's a lot of Tribe Called Quest, all of them. They use those sounds and those samples in their music, and sometimes it didn't make sense, but it was just it rhymed, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And the stuff that I'm not trying to scapegoat, because they're the same age as us, these younger guys and women. They're the same age as us. They grew up in the same era we did, so there's something about wanting to be wealthy over wanting to actually be an artist. I think that's at play here, right now, right? Because it's like, yeah, the older rappers and stuff, they wanted to be wealthy too, but they were also interested in the art that they were doing. You know, they they were taking it seriously. You know what I mean? And they were really
Yeah,
committed to that.
yeah,
And I think a lot of the people that we're seeing today are just they're not as committed to trying
yeah,
to make art, maybe, you know,
yeah.
as
That
as
kind of
as
that kind of leads me to the other topic I wanted to throw out there for you to think about is this, this idea of what makes a piece of media, especially like news and information media,
Mhm,
or podcast, radio show, TV show, streaming program, even a magazine, social media posts,
mhm,
all of the ones that seem to be thriving financially.
mhm,
Um, there's a lot of factors there, but one of the key ingredients I think I've come on to conclude is that the model that most of them tend to use is I give you information,
mhm,
and then in exchange, I give you an incarnational outlet by which to tangibly interact with me, the program, and feel like you've done something to meet that information head on.
mhm,
So, and I say this in that way. So, most shows, like, and we talk about politics and culture today,
mhm,
are very charged with negativity. We always say this. The news media is charged with negativity. I saw somebody show me clips. How
mhm,
many recent programs have been talking about the latest disease that they're all
mhm,
trying to worry about where it's going to spring to the animals and from the
mhm,
humans, and how our government has done a lot of work making sure they can get that thing to spread from animals to humans, the next one. And you
mhm,
see the news media pumping it like a PR firm every day, hype, 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 hype. And then
mhm,
they go to an advertisement for a pharmaceutical drug. And that's your
mhm,
tangible. And so when we always know that humans are incarnational, they're body and soul, their
mhm,
mind, and they are matter, they're
mhm,
heaven and earth. And they're not
mhm,
distinctly in a dualistic sense, but in an intertwined sense, connecting,
mhm,
colliding together.
mhm.
And they all need each other. You can't have a little bit of soul in a detached sense from the body. If you have a soul experience, it's going to come with an incarnational component. And I have always thought, oh man, isn't it nice I can do this show and not push products every 5 seconds? Because that's kind of ends up, a lot of people sell out because they get bad products that are not very good, and they use their voice to promote things in a kind of disingenuous way, promising things that can't be met. But at the same time, I think that the advertisement and the product that is offered to one's audience is a part of the experience of media. It is a necessary incarnational outlet and a discharge of the excitement that is stimulated by the mind. You watch something and they're like, tornado coming. You go to commercial break and they say Popeyes got a deal. And you're like, well, tornado's coming. We still got time. We can call this order in. We have dinner ready because light's probably going to be electricity or something. You know what I'm saying? I made a funny one, but there's a lot of them. Right? You listen to Sean Hannity and then you go and he says, let me tell you why I buy gold.
Yeah.
You listen to Candace Owens and she says, buy my cup, stand this cup.
Yeah.
$75 or whatever it is. You buy this giant cup.
It's a tumbler. It's a tumbler, David.
You get to drink the same way I drink. You get to use the same thing I use. You get to, that's communion. We long for communion.
Yeah.
And people who will get really trusting of these voices. That's why advertising is such a dubious industry, because again, people say you're selling your customers out for these dubious things. You're selling it out for, but yet there's this paradox where people, if you ask the average Joe their opinion about content creators and their relationship to advertisers, they'll have a very low opinion overall, but not about their favorites, but they'll say everybody is generally selling out their mouth to make a buck. They're grifters. But yet there's a paradox because it's only the grifting shows that seem to succeed. Because I don't put advertisement on this thing. I think I would probably have more of an incarnational discharge if I had a supplement that made sense or something like that every time I'm doing a show where I talk about the problem of the war, I talk about the problem of the economy, the culture, I talk about the problem of violence, I talk about the problem of diseases, all the things that I explore on this program. If I had an incarnational discharge of that mental or spiritual energy that is experienced into, well, buy this, or even if it's a book. So it's got me thinking that I think that's actually how media content is designed for humans to enjoy. Rightly or wrongly, ethically or not, it's the way it is. The advertisement is not an imposition on top of the content. It is actually a critical component of the content's experience for the audience.
Well, just think about, okay, I don't know, I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna try to, see if that makes sense. But just think about, like, we're gonna go anthropology here. Think about tribes and stuff like that, and they always got some kind of pilgrimage or something. You know what I mean? We this month is the month of the sun god, and we are going to the temple to worship and praise and jubilate and get, euphoria and chanting and ululations and everything else. We're going to be sacrificing chickens there and goats and lambs and bulls and smoke everywhere and incense, and it's going to go live, right? So, every time they do that, though, what do people want when they leave? They want to take something with them. You go to that festival and it's like, well, man, don't you want to take this fetish home with you? This was a great pilgrimage today that we had. This was a great sacrificial ceremony, ritual that we had today. So let's take this fetish, and then, we go home and we got the fetish at home, and then we can put garlands on it and, everything around the Sun Father's Day. That's our patron god for the home.
Or a relic, right?
A relic, you know what I mean? Our fetish. So it's the same thing. You get in tune with a particular podcast or particular news site that you like or whatever, you start buying hats because you want to
Yeah.
let everybody know, I watch Things Hidden. I
Yeah.
watch Bright News. I'm a serious Candace Owens fan. You know what I mean? I watch Tucker Carlson every day, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's how it is. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you do take on like certain things, and sometimes you might even start acting like them without even knowing it. You start dressing like them. And you got to have the same demeanor and attitude. So yes, I do think that
Part of the cultic incarnation, right?
yeah, it's you know what I'm saying, and it can be used in a good way to like glorify God, right, and
Which just seems to be rarely done, and really, but
yeah, yeah, right, or
especially if
it
you
can
look
be
at
something.
CBS, you look at MSNBC, they got these ads for Raytheon. Raytheon doesn't need the money; they're money laundering. They're running all these
Yeah,
ads. Raytheon loves America, and it's like
right,
it's a way of paying off the outlet to keep selling the war propaganda, and it's really dirty and sleazy.
yeah,
And then you go to like Rogan and he's selling you mushroom extract because he's going to
yeah,
have on a physicist or a
right,
woo woo guy,
yeah,
and you want to feel smart and you're on the cutting edge of
yeah,
experience, right? And so
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
well, I'll get that tea and that'll help me be a what's that word? Life hack. Yeah, I'll be able to
right,
life hack my way through life.
yeah,
This tea.
yeah, yeah,
That's the
if I,
experience.
yeah,
A
yeah,
love hate relationship. You hate it insofar as an ad that doesn't land right in the incarnational vibe. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if
yeah,
Rogan sells something that you just like, I don't, that has nothing to do with the experience I want to get from your show. Right.
right,
Kind of tell
yeah,
me.
yeah,
But that's why we hate those ads, right?
I mean, it's the same, it's the same thing. Like, we were talking about Indian gurus and stuff. You know what I mean? You remember them books called Osho?
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, right. Everybody wanted to, what the guru talking about now. You know what I'm saying? The guru coming out. Now he done gone. He done, whatever happened to him. I
Yeah, the
don't know.
government really went after him hard. Yeah.
Yeah. But here's another one. Now we got Sadhguru,
Oh
right? This new guy,
yeah.
and I'm not talking down about um, the
Okay.
Indian gurus. I'm not trying to, but anyways, it's like, well, you got to have this type of incense, and then you drink this kind of tea, and then you do this kind of meditation, and then you wear this type of garment, and stuff like that. Even though he may not even be saying you should do that,
Yeah.
right? He might be telling you, don't be buying all this material stuff to try and,
Yeah.
create this appearance that you're holy or whatever. But people will still do it anyways. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part,
Yeah. Looks like
right?
Scott Adams would take that simultaneous sip. He knows a little bit. He's a little bit more in on the joke than a lot of, he knows.
Yeah,
Have you ever
yeah.
seen Scott Adams show? He'd start with
Oh
the
yes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
simultaneous
yeah,
sip where he says, now it's
yeah.
time for our morning. I don't know if he still does that, but he was
He
really
still does.
effective in building
Yeah,
his ritual with his
yeah,
audience, right? To say, hey,
yeah,
we're buddies. Do
yeah.
this in remembrance of me. Let's go.
Right.
And you drink,
Yep.
right? It's
Yep.
all Christ haunted, all cultic,
Yep.
all
Yep.
cults and paganism is all rooted in, some dim grasping at Christianity as because
Yeah.
Christianity is reality.
Right.
And so therefore, you can see these little types forming all around us, right? And
Yeah.
but see, I always wanted to cut against it and say, well, they're all giving you because a lot of the format of most shows is scandal or
Mm-hmm.
problem or another word would be challenge,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you watch a news show or a culture show or a science bro show, and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
give you scandal, challenge, or some kind of uh, problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Problem has occurred,
Mm-hmm.
or a scandal is unfolding. That's very, oh my goodness. Or there's a
Mm-hmm.
challenge like uh, to overcome, something to solve, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All those things are generally close to one another. You watch a newscast, there's a scandal. Trump could go to prison. Oh, wow. What's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen? Then you hit to a commercial. So you're a little bit anxious, whether you like him or not. You're kind of anxious. What's going to happen? Boom. We cut to commercial and, oh, it's a car. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that would be so nice to have that car and to look like
Yeah.
those people driving that car and that car.
Yeah.
That's the pathetic thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you go back to more anxiety, more anxiety. Now, some shows are not quite as anxious driven, but they
Mm-hmm.
still have more like a challenge, like hey, this our bodies are, I see a lot of the health and wellness world, and it's all about how toxic and destructive the world is. So that creates anxiety. And then they say, go click this link to get my, 15% off on this hair product or this thing like that. So that anxiety from the mind discharges into incarnational action. I click, I boom, dopamine hit, product in my hand. This will help me in some way get closer to that ecstatic truth of wholeness and health and at oneness or whatever, right? So
and see, all of that is sort of a desire for being, isn't it?
Right.
We want a desire for being. We want a desire to belong to a community, to someone. And I don't, at face value or whatever, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think but it's the way in which it's used, just like anything. You know what I mean? We talk about nuclear stuff. We talk about science and chemicals and stuff, right? They can, or political machinations. It can be a double-edged sword, right? And that's what Christianity sort of exposes, right? Like, I exposed to you the scapegoat mechanism. I exposed to you about your desires. So now you have to choose which side, which one you will choose, and it's tempting to go in the other direction. You know what I mean? I was talking with Craig Stewart, and the last thing we said is that, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, and so, yes, like I think you can harness, like, this excitement for belonging to a community. So as long as it's healthy, and
not just belonging in community, but having something tangible to act upon and to act with, right? Because that's what all good, like churches and things do. They have something, not just ritual, but things you touch or smell or have an experience with, right? And sensorially, right? And that's what's important for, like, having, that kind of, again, I call it like an incarnational discharge of the energy of the mind or the spirit or the soul, consciousness. Oh, wow, there's a war. Oh, gosh, I got to buy this survival kit from this conspiracy show. And it sounds, dirty on one hand, because oftentimes it is dirty in the way in which people do these things. They whip you up so much, and then that experience, and it makes you wonder, how can you redeem that? How can we do redemptive media that does not try to reject it all? Because what I have tried to do on this show is to say, okay, I'm not going to give you just a problem. I'm not going to say, today we have Armageddon approaching and the New World Order is getting one step closer. Oh my goodness. I don't need that. And I don't need to do the leftist thing saying our democracy is at stake. Oh my, that's so stressful. The planet's going to blow up. All these horrific, traumatic things hitting your head all the time. And most of these shows just leave you with all of that. And then the only hope is the advertisement or the promo code. And what I find that to be very unethical. And that might make me very not good at growing a media business, because it's not the manipulative psychological move that seems to be so effective for humans. Because I want to give you solution within the content itself, not just where I would advertise. I want to give you, so a lot of the things some of my greatest hits from back in radio days, every day, I'd tell people, breathe in the fresh air of freedom together. I say I would do that live on radio as a little ritual for fun, breathe in, get your fresh air, get your breathing right, which Diamond Dallas Page came on my show years later and said, breathing so important to solving 90% of your mental problems. Breathing correctly, taking the time to deeply breathe, get you out of the fight or flight response. That's scientifically validated. But another thing is, stay out of debt. If you're in debt, get rid of the debt. If you got credit cards, chop them up. Stay away from them. If you got, you got seed oils in your pantry, take them out. If you got kids in a failing government school, try to homeschool them if you can. Do whatever you can to do that. I try to give people, takeaway points. But still, because it's not something because when I say that, you still can't touch it. Right? You can't interact with me saying that. When I say get the seed oils out of your life, stay out of debt, I don't hit to a commercial that says, here's your bankruptcy lawyer, Call him today. He'll help you file and get this credit off your back, right?
Yeah.
That's the incarnational move, I guess, that a lot of people make a lot of success in media doing.
Yeah.
If I said, get your seed oils out of the way, and then boom, hit to a commercial, and I'm advertising seed oil busters. They'll bust into your kitchen if you hire them, and they clean your whole pantry out of everything seed oil. That's probably a good business. Somebody's doing it right now after I said that. Like a lot of things I've talked about on this show. I'm getting used to that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Imitated, never usually credited, but
You're right.
But the point is that I think there's a way in which you don't have to, you don't have to throw out. People want that tangible product. You don't have to say, well, therefore it's dirty if I do that. No, you can do it right, but it may be very hard to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take for instance, one of our favorite beloved, authors, right? Writers, Rene Girard, right? Even he knew that I got to publish or perish.
Yeah. So he had to sell a book.
He said that. He said it.
I have a book.
Yeah. so he said, look, if I'm gonna get these ideas out there, and I want people to hear what I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
Write these books, and then what do the books do? Some of them books, I'll tell you, man, even the cover, right? Because they're hard covers, hard copies, like old vintage ones, have, I'm sure those will become in years, probably not that far away, will become like, cherishable items. Like you want to hold on to because you're like, man, this was published back when he first wrote this book. You see what I'm saying? People who are Girardians, they love to collector's items. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is they like to digest his material. Yeah. And so they buy the books, they listen to the podcast, so when you're really into something, you do want to engage with it. You want to have some kind of tangible something that is connected to. I think that's just I think that's like a, again, it's like a mimetic thing. You want to be connected to a community, and tangibility gives you that connection. You know what I mean? It's even if you see somebody like with a bumper sticker, you say, okay, well, they got the bumper sticker of I don't know. Okay, you say Alex Jones, you know what I'm saying? They find somebody who's like-minded, right? It might honk their horn, Alex Jones. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, hey,
they're fishing for community, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got their line in the water of their local cities.
Yeah.
They're waiting for that excitement when they get a honk back.
Right. Or like your favorite, you went to college, right? Okay, I went to the University of Washington. So, what do? You want to have little things like the Huskies. I got a sweater, I got a cardigan, I got a hat, I got a keychain, whatever. You know what I mean? I go to the games every fall, winter. I don't know. You know what I mean? I watch the crew team in the summertime roll their boats. You want to be a part of it. So it's, I do think that that's important. And I think it's just, again, where it leads to. Like, is it for the glory of God, or is it for a cult of personality, right? Or
you're selling $50 prayer cloths that have been somebody sprayed Lysol on them to make
it. Man, that's funny that you brought that up, because I remember there used to be a black preacher on. He would come on at like really, and I mean early, like 2-3 in the morning. Okay,
that costs a lot of money to buy that block of time. Man. You had to get, you get what's available.
Man, he'd be on there, and he'd be talking about. Thank you, Jesus. We got this, this flare handkerchief, and if you buy it now, God will heal you. Don't you feel that? And so he's talking. These people are calling in, and they're buying.
That's not the Holy Ghost. That's cortisol, because he's got to make sure he can pay that time block back. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. Help. That's a cry out to God in a different way. Lord, help this work. You know what I mean? I gotta make this payment, or I'm not going to be able to keep being on.
Exactly. I'm gonna get shut up to him with.
That's like
So, yeah.
it is a kind of existential cry out to God. You know,
Yes, it
like,
is.
Lord,
Yes, it is.
I took a loan, I bought this time on TV. You know what I mean? We gotta
Oh man.
make payroll. We gotta make payroll. We got this producer that wants so much money for the cameras.
Okay.
That now comes out with every fight.
I can't even afford a sandwich, Jack. Help me, Lord. But hey, you gotta get it. You gotta, you gotta get it how you get it. That's what's all going. We talked about Sukihana and everything. Look what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? What is she doing?
Well, the live streamer format, which has been very popular for a lot of big people, people becoming very popular in the Gen Z world, because they play video games, right? Well, it's so interesting, they watched people playing video games. It's an interactive experience, reminiscent of like when you're a kid and your older brothers or whatever are playing a game and you sit and watch them, as they go and that's a communal experience. And then that kind of helps evolve into their interest in these live streamers. And then you see they're doing the same thing as the televangelists where, they have their, you pay a certain amount of money to have your question or comment read live on the show with all those people. So that's their little prayer cloth, Yeah. You come on now. If you come in with $50, you get to have your message read. If you come in with $10, we just show it real fast and close it. We don't read it. That's the same televangelist. Can I get another 50?
Yeah.
Because I gotta fly all these Instagram people we put on this panel back home. I got airfare tickets to pay. Can we get some more 50? 50 questions.
Man, some of them will stop their show and wait.
That's what those televangelists did. That's what Scott used to do. That what's that guy's name? Scott, the televangelist that does God's Angry Man. That Werner Herzog made a movie about him. His name was Gene Scott.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's the one that had the monkeys and everything.
Yeah, they were doing the little with the symbols and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Well, and he would yell at his audience. He would say, "The FCC is trying to take us down.
Yeah,
we're not going anywhere until you help us. Pick up the phone and call us now." And he would just sit there and smoke a cigarette on this live stream like he was protesting his own audience.
Right. Play the monkeys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. That's it's I mean, I think it boils down to a question of what are you really doing it for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being authentic, right? Like really wanting to put products out there and sell things that, whether they're attached to, your media or whether it's something else, people should always be take good care of what it is they're trying to put out. You know what I mean? It's about being a good steward and a good craftsman, and that takes, sometimes that takes a lot of work, but I think in the end it's worth it,
Yeah.
See their dignified monkey salute tonight. They think they're going to stop us from an appeal by compressing us to 14 days. I want you to know, if it's 14 hours, we can still do it, and we'll win. They better give them their monkey salute. The only thing they'll ever accomplish around here is make this kind of noise. Turn them all on. Give me some Monkey Farm, the FCC Monkey Band, Monkey Farm music. I'll fly away. Let them go. Look at them. Here's your bureaucrats. Wouldn't you like to grow up and be a bureaucrat if you're a kid watching? FCC Monkey Band. Get it back there on old Blabby back there. He's already talking to the prince.
I'm surprised he didn't try and sell those. He should have sold those.
Of the people, nothing.
What's this guy turned here?
What's this guy turned here? Mark of the beast 6 times. 1. Watch it. 1. 6. Over he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over he goes. Get the old talky one back there. Get him going. Get him on the head, Joe. Get him out front with his red pants and bang him on the floor like you did. Yeah, that's right. Get that one again. Get him on the head and let him turn him, bang his head on the floor. That's right. That's the only way to treat a bureaucrat. Hit him again.
Actually, I gotta tell you, man, his aesthetic is and his style is way better than like any of the streamers today.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And I was impressed by the quality and the craftsmanship of those monkey toys. I mean, come on. You can't get toys made that nice with the fur and the mechanics and the novelty and the textures and the
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so cheap and flimsy most of the time, unless you spend like a fortune on some high-end thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's got monkeys doing every kind of gyration, vibration, hitting of the face, every instrument, every kind of exercise known to man.
Yeah.
That's back in that day. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But I mean, there's art even in that. You know, it's beautiful. Actually, he inspired a lot of people. Even Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, of famous wrestling manager, is inspired by Gene Scott, Pastor Gene Scott, and his broadcast. But
how would you say he was a because I don't know him, but would you say he was like a
watch the movie God's Angry Man? It's available online.
Okay.
By Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
It's about his life.
I know Herzog. Yeah. He makes great documentaries. But would you say this minister was like an authentic minister, or would you call him like a sort of a televangelist, like Benny Hinn type, TBN type?
I mean, that's how. I mean, they would probably situate him more in the latter. But his widow is still doing his ministry to this day. She streams it on YouTube instead, and she's teaching.
Oh wow. Okay.
She does all kinds of teachings and so forth.
So is she selling monkeys now?
I don't know. We got to see what they're selling. They've been doing it so long. They probably have got it down to a well-oiled machine by now, what works and doesn't. But
yeah,
I mean, I think it's interesting that, you know, we've lost that kind of charismatic aesthetic of the old media. You know what I mean? When we think about those guys, I mean, there's the layer of ethical advertisement, but an ethical, you know, use of your show and relationship to discharge into things that people want to buy. Can you do that in a way that doesn't manipulate? But then you have the issue of aesthetics, which I think we're lacking here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe that's because people are so worried about their income that they don't have time to really think about the aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? Because we're like, you know, hell, if I get cut off air, all this stuff is sitting with me, and I can't, you know, now I'm in debt.
But it's an infinite feedback loop, right? Because the more you create despairing aesthetics, the more you know it feeds into the society's decay, which feeds into your difficulty earning a living without selling your soul. So it just goes back and forth. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't have time to care for aesthetics, so I'm going to take the cheap way out, and that kind of fills into your compromising, which feeds into society's general malaise and disrepair, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for being able to make more with less.
Yeah.
You know, and having that kind of attitude. You know, what can I what can I make that is quality with less materials? You know, and I mean, which is a probably harder thing to do. You know what I mean? Harder thing to like actually make happen, because you have to really think about that. It takes a lot of, I think, probably effort. But you know, yeah, you do have to be, I think, conscious of what you're putting out, and if it's actually, quality, and if you're producing things for people to actually hold on to take with them, or to be of some kind of you know benefit to them, then you want it to be ethical, you want it to be you know just I mean, I guess, to so that it's for their good.
But see,
You know
what's
what I mean?
interesting is like it's not just the ethical quality of the work of the product you sell them, but also the ethic. What are the ethics and how you get them to that point of wanting to buy?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
always
that's it.
blasting them into despair and fear and anxiety, and then you trigger
Mm-hmm.
that right into a sales pitch, I find that completely distasteful from a Christian
Mm-hmm.
perspective
Yeah, yeah,
because you're monetizing in a kind of cynical, exploitative way
yeah. Their
that fear
fears.
that you've created. And so I
Yeah.
wonder, can I, can one find success selling good ethical products and solutions, but
Mm-hmm.
not do it in a way that is built on creating that fear and anxiety discharged into, oh God, I got to click this and buy this immediately. Can I
Mm-hmm.
still provide my positive, balanced message and it
Mm-hmm.
still result in people wanting to click and make the purchase? Or does putting in the positive solution
Mm-hmm.
into your content part of your show actually like going to reduce probably the purchase and success of that advertisement? It probably does,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. You know,
Yeah,
see what I mean?
yeah,
Wouldn't you think
yeah.
so? If you have a show, right, and you spend all the time anxious, 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 stress, 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 add positive release, boom, buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do a show, anxious, stress, positive, positive, anxious, stress, positive, solution, solution, empowerment, empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
empowerment, fear, because I don't always just say positive. I also talk about the negative,
Mm-hmm.
positive, negative, positive. You're kind of balanced, and then you go to, okay, try this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that give you the excitable state,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to create that similar level of purchase and fun?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's an
yeah,
interesting thing to think about.
yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, to you know seeing them all do it, like, you think about, the world is ending by the. I mean, it's like you watch. You don't even have to listen to people.
Yeah.
It's not just podcasts. Like, it's news. Websites. You know what I mean? You go to, like, Breitbart, New York Post, whatever, and they've got they got, like, ads in there about, buy this, like, those, like, when they had the Y2K stuff. You know what I mean? Like, buy this survival kit
Yeah.
and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think what it does is just sort of reinforces. It reinforces. Uh,
But if you're
you know,
putting solution positivity counterbalances within your content and then you
yeah,
go to a product, it may
yeah,
not create the same kind of level of
yeah, like,
incarnational discharge because you've already kind of met some of that anxiousness. Like if you say,
yeah,
folks, here's the scary things. What's going on here is crazy. Oh my goodness. Can you see this corruption? Do you see what's going on? And we're going to have this or that. But then you
mhm,
also provide, well, here's things you can do to empower yourself. Here's things you can do to keep positive. Here's some good news going on. If you do all that, and then you go to, okay, and here's what we're selling you today,
mhm,
does that not seemingly remove the effect of it?
yeah,
Most people do it the way I'm describing. They
mhm,
hit you with it, and because they don't give you any solution,
mhm,
you know,
mhm,
they don't
yeah,
give you any solutions. And then people, like Dave Ramsey talks about not getting in debt, but he's got 100 different solutions for you. He's got,
yeah,
my book for this, my financial plan, my five
yeah,
step guide, my book, my real
yeah,
estate. He's got
yeah.
all kinds of outlets for his, which is fine, but I guess in theory.
I mean, but it also makes you question if what he's saying is actually really authentic and actually working. If
Yeah,
you have to continuously put out monetary books,
yeah,
monetary solutionary books. You
right.
know what I mean? It's like,
But that's
okay,
what people, but
how
that's
many,
what
how
linear
many?
linear minded types of people kind of like that. Okay, just tell me X, Y, and Z. Don't just tell me to stay out of debt. I don't have that. I don't have a little
Mhm,
picture book guide to teach you. I
mhm,
just say stay out of debt. I expect
yeah,
you to figure that out on your own. But the
yeah,
average person, they want to X, Y, Z. They want step 1, step 2, step 3. They want, 5 principles, 4 values, 3 commitments, 2 promises in a book. They like that for a video, and they want to feel like they're a part of it. Hey, honey, let's watch this DVD. It's got 5 commitments, 2 values, 7 principles, 18 steps, and we're on step 2. Let's watch this DVD now. We're going to figure out how to get to step 3 and 4 and 5. People like that. Again, it goes back to that ritual, right? People like rituals. They like tangibility. They like something that they can own. It's a left hemisphere brain part of our side. We like to grasp and contain and control, And then, we like our entertainment, to be amusement versus recreation. I heard that from Pastor Jim Fitzgerald once, the difference between amusement and recreation. Amusement, look at the word, without muse, thought, without thought, escaping thought. Look at recreation, that's recreation, participating in the act of creation with God. So there's a difference between recreational entertainment and recreational experiences and amusement.
Yeah.
Right. And so much of our media is geared towards amusement rather than recreation. That's a broader way to look at the differences between content, which is designed to glorify God by inspiring people to participate in the creative process themselves, versus content that is meant to make you check out from thinking and feel helpless until you get their product or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a valid point, man.
Yeah.
It's a valid point.
Well, Shannon, I appreciate your time, and I want people to check out your website, brightnews.com, and you've got some interesting podcasts coming out soon. YouTube. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, that's, just stay tuned, and we got some, interesting guests coming on talking about some very interesting things. So, please, stop on by, subscribe, share, like.
And Shannon has a prayer cloth that he's thinking about buying from Alibaba right now, right? 5,000 prayer cloths from us.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get them from the Himalayas, from Tibet. I'm picking them up right now.
All right, take care.
All right, man. You too.